welcome back to my channel. This is Martin and you're watching Astro From Home. Today we are talking about the list at Touptek of the demanded enhancements from me and some other YouTuber. I will come to the name a bit later, and now let's dive in. So here we have StellaVita. Connected a bit of my equipment already that I can also toggle some options. The first three enhancements on the list are from that other person. It's Quiff, who also reviewed StellaVita and is also creating a video about it. So let's just go into his points. The first one is we have here a couple of options for the autofocus. So on the beginning, on filter change, on temperature change, and from his point of view, what he also sent over to Touptek is to also get autofocus after a certain time, which is the easiest way of triggering a new autofocus, so that you're not dependent on some temperature probe, or that you need to change filter also or slew to a different target, so that also if you're doing long runs on one target without any filter changes, that it also takes another autofocus run. So it's similar like on the RZR when you're on the EAF tab and you go to autofocus. Here you have autofocus after X hours, and that you can then select a certain value. So the next point that he submitted is also again for the autofocus, because the RZR, Nina and so on, they are also doing 2 iterations of autofocus. So first a general run and then a detailed run. On the StellaVita, we know it's just relying on one run of autofocus, so that's also a point that he submitted. Last but not least on his list, there was a third point, not for the autofocus, but it's for dithering. Here we see the dither options, and that we can set a dither interval of 1, 2, 3, 5, 100 images that the StellaVita is using. And what he submitted is going in a more separated direction. I like it, but usually I wouldn't make use of it. So when you add a task for your target, that for every task that you enter as a light, that you also have the option here in the list to set an individual dither frequency. So for instance, that on filter 4 you're using the general setting, and when you are adding another task for a different filter, that at the bottom you can then select maybe dither interval of 1 or 2, so that you can easily separate the dither intervals between narrowband imaging, where most of us are usually using dither interval of 1, and for RGB data an interval of 3 or 5 images until a dither happens. So there is a use case for it. I usually do either or, so narrowband or RGB, depending on the moon phase and how high the target is and all those things, that I seldom have RGB and narrowband in one session. So not really for me, but for some others. So the first of my points is here for the Sky Atlas. So now from my introduction video of the Sky Atlas, we currently only have one window or one frame where the camera is pointing that is representing your image. In here I would like to see a rotation feature similar to the RZR, so that you can plan your session with the proper rotation. StellaVita already knows the rotation of the camera from the plate solve, and here in the Sky Atlas I just would like to see here on the left side, on the top or so, some slider where you can turn this blue box. As you know, it also displays a second box, so that you can then see the difference between the current rotation and the rotation that you would like to have. Then a second here on the Sky Atlas, I would love to see something else, and this is when you have a target selected. Let me just find something that we can easily see. So I'm selecting here NGC 281, the Pac-Man nebula, and when we selected a target here in the Sky Atlas, once we jump to the star library, that it already shows the object selected. For me, it is the first one as I used it last, but let's maybe go here to Messier 32 and jump to the star library, that the current selected deep sky object is also displayed here as first, that we can see how it's moving across the sky, or that goes hand in hand with it when we select an item here, that we are able to send it over to the Sky Atlas, and that the Sky Atlas would directly show this in the star library selected deep sky object, so that we can jump forth and back to see everything. That would be a cool feature to implement. Touptek knows already about it, as I'm talking about the list, and this is feature 1 and feature 2 that I requested, and let's go to the next one. So my demand number 3 is again here for the connected items, as it was also asked a lot by viewers of my channel in the comments. And yes, I've placed it. The support for rotators and flat panels. As StellaVita is running on Indy, and Indy is supporting lots of rotators and flat panels, this should be fairly easy for Touptek to integrate. I've asked it because I'm also about to afford both of those items to automate my imaging sessions a bit more, and therefore I would also be very happy if Touptek would implement this. The feedback that I received when I was asking for those two is that they are closely monitoring the competition, what's happening, and Touptek and ZWO recently introduced their CAA, so the rotator, and it's already implemented in the firmware of the RZR, so I'm pretty sure that feature will come soon. And crossing fingers, maybe they are also releasing a rotator. That would be very neat in terms of integration into the system. And yeah, I'm very confident that we are going to see some rotator and flat panel integration here for the different gear that we can connect. As you know, on the RZR we have the possibility from Deep Sky Dad to use both of those devices with using the 12-volt power outlets by adjusting them, but I would rather like to see a native implementation as we could power the devices externally and still make use of the 12-volt DC power outlets, because currently the outlets are also not switchable, and I think the main integration into the firmware would be the much easier part. So for the next demand that I have to Touptek, we need to jump over to Nina. So, and I've already prepared something in the advanced sequencer in Nina, because this activity is only available on the advanced sequencer in Nina. It is again for the autofocus, and this is here the autofocus on HFR increase that I've asked from Touptek to implement, where you can specify how much the HFR should change compared to the initial image that was taken, or the first image that an autofocus run is being triggered. So meaning, if in this example here that the HFR changed by 5%, then it trigger a new autofocus, and this is also what I've asked from Touptek to implement into StellaVita. So, and for another enhancement that I've been asking, we are just staying in Nina, as it's also a Nina functionality that I've been asking for. This one would boost StellaVita far ahead of the RZR. This is when we are going to options in Nina to autofocus. With the plugin of Nina, we can determine the focus offset of each of the filter towards a base filter. In that case here, for me, luminance is the base, and then this feature calculated different offsets for the filters. What this is doing is, when I'm changing from luminance to red, the focuser moves out 21 focus steps. If I then switch, for instance, to the O3 filter, the autofocuser would retract the focuser by 29 steps, so it would move back the 21 from the red to match luminance at 0, and then moving -8, and this can then be used to quickly change filters without autofocus, and in combination with the HFR change for the autofocus, there might be an autofocus happening on image 4 of 5 on the green filters, and then having a good focus again, and then moving to a different filter, and the autofocuser just moves the appropriate steps that are defining the focus point between the different filters. So that's another enhancement that I've been asking. So for the next demand that I've raised, we move back to StellaVita. This is also something that many people ask, that is also bothering me, because it just is causing wrong perception how things are going. This is here on the guide camera. When we are looping or guiding, here at the bottom we have this bad resolution displayed, even though the guide camera is set to a different resolution. In my case here 1:1 binning, and my 462M has a native resolution of 1920 by 1080. The resolution here by StellaVita is displayed as 640 by 360, but this is not the resolution with that the guide camera is running. This is the resolution of the video signal that is being transferred by StellaVita to your tablet or phone, but it's just a noise, because on the main camera we also see the currently set resolution if you are running native resolution, or the resolution then for 2x2 or 4x4 binning, and why not also on the guider. And I said the guider is running properly at full resolution, but it's just annoying to see the wrong numbers here. And last but not least, what I submitted to Touptek that needs some attention is here in the settings again. As you know, recently I didn't have many clear nights, and the clear nights that I had, the 2.5 clear nights, I was spending with Nina capturing an image, because here on the camera drivers I have found that at least for player 1 cameras there is still an issue with the driver. So you can connect the camera, you can take images, everything, but the gain is not working properly, and therefore I was using Nina to test out my player 1 monochrome camera. And in the same course, after I have raised this issue that that the player 1 cameras are not working appropriately how they should be, I got as a response that they checked their driver library once more, and they have seen that also on the QHY cameras they need an update. So soon they will run a driver refresh for StellaVita in order to get player 1 cameras running properly, to have the latest QHY cameras running like the Minicam 8 and so on, and to fix some other problems on QHY cameras. And I'm pretty sure they have found some more drivers that need attention, that they are going to release it as a package. and you will then see, once they have done so, here in this list of software versions, that also Player One SDK will be implemented separately, because the main Indie library doesn't support everything, and the Indie SDK as well, so that for Player One a separate SDK will be implemented, and a new version of the QHY SDK. And yeah, that's so far what I wanted to share with you, with the most important enhancement requests from my side and also from Quiff to make StellaVita even better. Soon I'm going to have a tech video again, also on Touptek stuff, but I'm just waiting for delivery, as I did a purchase in their web store, and yeah, I'm going to do an unboxing once I have the goods with me, and then we will also connect everything to StellaVita. So thank you very much for watching. If you like what I'm sharing, please consider giving a like, maybe place a comment, and I would be very happy if you are also subscribing to my channel. It's helping me a lot to grow and to reach more people on YouTube. So thanks again for watching. Have a good time. Clear skies to everyone, and see you soon.